Hey, what's up guys? Bajheera here. Now for this video, we are going to be taking a look at the new Blade and Soul class, the Gunslinger. Now this is a sponsored video, so huge shoutouts to NCSoft and Blade and Soul for sponsoring the video. Genuinely, I do really enjoy Blade and Soul, so having a sponsored opportunity really just sort of sweetens the deal. But my intention for this video is to give you guys a basic look at the Gunslinger's abilities and the talents that I chose when I was doing my first ever arena sessions as a Gunslinger. Now, from what I've seen, the Gunslinger is mostly like a super high damage PvE class, which has the Shadow and Fire specializations, but for PvP, I pretty much only went down into the Fire tree, since that's where all the burst really is, and you guys know that I'm all about that bursty PvP. So let's go ahead and open up the talent screen and get right into it. So before you get started, if you guys make a Gunslinger like right from the very beginning, you guys are going to be able to learn all these abilities and how they interact nice and slowly over time. But just in case you want to take a closer look at things, whenever you open up your talent screen, it'll show you your trainable skills. These are the ones that you can swap between. I definitely recommend that you take some time, no matter what class you play, whether it's Gunslinger or anything in Blade and Soul, take some time and go and read through all of your abilities and what they do and how they interact with each other. Now, this is something that I could even do and learn more about. So I've played Blade and Soul a fair amount since it first came out, and I feel like I still have a ton to learn about all the different classes. So don't take this video as like an expert's take on the Gunslinger, because I've only been playing it since it first came out, so like 2 days. But so far it's been a lot of fun. So my intention isn't to present this video to you as like, you know, some sort of I know everything about Gunslinger. Basically what I want to do is share with you some of the cool things that I've found and some opportunities or some options that you might have in terms of your playstyle and your build. But by all means, understand that the things that I'm talking about here are from a very sort of basic perspective, and you guys can definitely build on this in terms of your gameplay as well. So just to help you understand, now the talents that I've taken will change the gameplay a little bit, but the Gunslinger, just to show you what the basics are, you basically are going to be unloading a lot of damage with your right click, and you're going to be reloading to refill your ammo, and also your hooks. So your hooks are mobility. Your hooks also give you some cool opportunities, like, you know, you can use your Q ability, which will throw up like a little sky shard, and you can actually hook up to the sky shard and attack from the skies. And you can throw another sky shard up there while you're even in the air to allow you to do more attacks and stay up in the air a little bit longer. Now, the sky shard, first things first, since we're already talking about it, even the sky shard has a couple talents associated with it. One of them is going to give you resistances, and one of them is going to unlock other abilities for you. So the one that I've played with the most is the one that gives me resistance, because I think that's useful. But the one that's really, really fun also unlocks different sort of stun and damage abilities for you. So as we're doing our sort of willy-nilly walkthrough here, you'll notice that I'm charging up little, like, looks like little bullets there right on the top left part of my health bar. So those bullets are what you're going to see me unloading with my F key, right? So this big burst of damage right there, that's an explosive shot, just firing off gunpowder charges, basically, that blast enemies, and it looks like it does a little bit of AoE as well, but that's the kind of thing that I feel like makes this class so addictive, is this kind of burst that you can unload. I'm going to be showing you guys some arena stuff in another video. Basically, my idea for this little Blade and Soul Gunslinger session of videos is going to be giving you guys an idea of the class through this video. Then I'm going to be showing you guys some 1v1s highlights and some 3v3 highlights as well. But the Gunslinger, I feel like you definitely want to try to keep your distance from your enemies a bit. You want to use your mobility to avoid their damage and allow yourself to kind of get around and do your own damage. But unloading those big gunpowder bursts makes it a whole lot of fun. You also have a defensive ability. For me, the defensive ability usually is just used to transition into offensive. So you have a little block here that you can put up. But you'll notice whenever I have my block up, there's the little F key popped up, and that's what I'm most interested whenever I use that ability. So you can block things, and if somebody attacks you while you have your block up, it'll do like a little counter shot. But the main thing that I like is you can put your block up, you can press F, and you can press your left click to knock an enemy in the air and do a little air juggle, and then slam him to the ground, and finishing with a knockdown effect, which is really cool. But even cooler than that, in my opinion, is chaining that with your number 4, which is crossfire. So there's, if you spam this key, you'll notice that it does a fair amount of damage. You can use it up to 3 times in a row, and it also creates 1 explosive round on hit. So a lot of times when you start the battle, you're gonna want to make sure you reload to have your hooks, at least in PvP. And then you'll notice that as I'm right-clicking, I'm generating explosive rounds, but it kind of takes a little while, right? So if you can open up with some abilities that allow you to generate explosive rounds more quickly, like your number 4 button, then you can unload some serious damage right off the bat. So if you chain that with what I was talking about with the knock-up, let me show you what that looks like. It's pretty cool. So you can knock them up, and without... don't actually have to do the air juggle. I messed it up though. You don't have to actually do the air juggle in order to do the damage that you want to do. This is why I kind of want to go to this other area. Let me sprint over there. But if you don't even bother with the air juggle, you just let them fall to the ground without the slam, then you can just unload all that 4 plus F plus right-click spam. And I'm sure there's like an animation cancel to do that like more cleanly to make it actually more effective, but for me, I just kind of spam it, and it works out pretty good. So I'm going to F, going to get the right-click or the left-click damage up there, a little bit of juggle, and then as they're falling to the ground, you just unleash the 4 plus F combo. That thing already died before that even went off, but in PvP, that's the kind of thing that you can just global people with. And the Gunslinger has a couple different options in terms of burst. Speaking of burst, you have this thing, which does 100 billion damage, and it also, whenever there's enemies in there, if you take a certain talent for it, you can explosive shot without it requiring you to actually have saved up explosive shots. That's your C ability, your Firefall. You also have, the big one is your tab, right? Your tab, depending on which talent you take, will generate explosive shots for you slowly over time, or it'll make it so that you can fire off like a hail of bullets or something is what it's called. Let me see if I can find it here. Which basically just unleashes all 5 bullet storm. It unleashes all 5 of your explosive shots at once and just one-shot somebody. So if you're like all about super burst, you might want to try that talent. But I found that I liked a little bit more of a consistency with the Tombstone move 2 because it charges 8 explosive rounds over 8 seconds, and those explosive rounds stay afterwards. So that's nice for me, because the more explosive rounds you have, the better, basically. So your 2 CC abilities, I know I'm kind of going willy-nilly here in terms of the way I'm talking about it, but the 2 CC abilities right here, you can change the talents associated with those to make them do a knockdown, a stun, or a daze. Same thing with this one. It can be a normal basic skill, which gives you like a true shot or whatever, but I usually use this as like a CC. Basically, the more CC you have in PvP, the better. I mean, I think Gunslinger already is a bit of like a PvE damage class, even in a PvP situation, so having some control is a good thing. I want to show you a little bit more about this thing right here. So some of these abilities that I haven't really tried before, these ones, so you can stun them and do a serious burst damage in the air, and then you get back up there and then drop the AoE on them as well. That's little fire AoE right there. So using the Sky Shard as a defensive, it has saved my life and got me a few wins, but experimenting with it as an offensive piece of my arsenal seems like something I want to do as well. So another thing that you can change up a lot that changes your playstyle is this ability, your Scorched Earth, your kill shot. So I see a lot of people using this one, the little AoE daze. So this will normally fire off like just a straight line. It does fire damage, it pierces defense and parry. If you only want damage, that's fine. If you want a daze, that's like a big, like a cone out in front of you, you can use this. It's like they kind of like just smacks them and knocks them down and deals fire damage. But I like this one the most, the Bull Rush, because the Bull Rush, it actually functions as like a mobility skill too, and it still CCs them, but it allows you to like move your position, so you can either avoid their skills or you can use that to, kind of avoid like a big AoE, like exactly what I was talking about before. Like if you see a Gunslinger drop down this, you need to get the heck out of there, because you're going to get roasted if you stand in it. It does a lot of damage, and it oftentimes, depending on what talents they take, give them like free explosive shots. So that's just an easy way to lose like half of your health bar instantly. I guess I should talk about defenses too, because if you are in a situation where you can't avoid damage, Deadlock does give you resist to damage and status effects for 5 seconds. It also helps you regain some HP. So if you're stuck in a really rough situation but you're not CC'd, just pop this. Nobody can attack you. And admittedly, being the noob that I am, a lot of times I get stuck in those situations, and basically what I'll press is I'll press X and Tab at the same time, so that I have immunity to everything and just absolutely insane damage. So you can finish matches that way pretty quickly if you get yourself in a rough spot, or at least you can try to turn things around. When I first started playing Gunslinger, I say that as if I don't still do this, but when I first started playing Gunslinger, I pretty much would just try to out-aggress my opponents. As I've played a little bit more, I feel like I've been able to play a little bit more skillfully and use my abilities a little bit more, like, intentionally, right? Like okay, if I set up this combo, then I feel like I can kill this guy by getting his trinkets and defensives out of the way, and then going from there. But realistically, like, sometimes you still have to just go ham as a Gunslinger. But that's kind of a fun playstyle for me. When I play Blade and Soul, I like playing those really bursty classes. I like playing the setup and burst. The only thing about Gunslinger is I feel like you definitely have to use your mobility well. You have to use your immunity frames really, really well, because you don't have, like, your only real, like, super defensive is going to be this, and you have a few iframes on your hooks, and if you use the iframes for Skystone, you can do that as well. But the talent I'm showing you right now is super offensive, so keep in mind that the talents that I like, the big one I think that changes for me in the past has been Crossfire. Right now I'm using the one that gives me 3 bursts of it, because the damage is just really fun. And I started off using this one, and I still recommend it, but you'll fight against a lot of people who, you know, like Kung Fu Masters or Blade Masters, who kind of sit behind a block a lot, and that's really annoying. So sometimes Crossfire, that uses the defense, that pierces defense, is nice, because you can get through their defenses, and then you can, since the only thing about it is that this does trigger the clear shot, and clear shot for me basically seems like it makes a lot of your abilities more short range, but deal a lot more damage. So if you're fighting somebody like that, it allows you to sort of pierce their parry to get clear shot rolling, and then if you can try to get behind them and use your explosive shots and just deal 100 billion damage to them, that's one way to get around it. But you do need to make sure that you're being careful with the way that you're using, you know, your damage as a Gunslinger, because you're going to be pouring out this bullets all the time. And if you're just attacking into somebody's, you know, block, or if you're attacking into a Kung Fu Master's strafe and giving them full agility, it's going to be kind of annoying. So you have to play those matchups a little more patiently. But those skills that say, you know, pierce parry or pierce defense, that makes it pretty nice. That's another one thing that's nice about this one, is that people can't, like, you know, for a destroyer, if he pulls out his shield and tries to block all your damage, it's not going to do anything if you have this one. But I do want to show you this just to give you an example of how crazy this burst is. I don't think there's any monsters that can actually survive long enough for it to be exciting. But I mean, like, if you can get somebody's cooldowns out of the way, and you can get them stuck in a CC, using that tombstone is just gonna one-shot them. And for those of you guys who like burst like me, that's a fun talent to use, but I think that there's definitely something to be said for the consistency of this particular tombstone ability. But anyway, I think I've shown at least a fair amount of the ways you can use most of your abilities here. The thing about Blade and Soul is there's not necessarily a particular predefined way that you have to use any particular ability. So there's definitely room for creativity in terms of the way that you use your rotation. And once again, I'm very new to the Gunslinger class, so if you guys decide to give it a try, I'm sure that our playstyles can look a little bit different, and you probably can figure out a better playstyle than me, I would imagine. But still find ways of having fun and being successful. So this was the intention for this video. Once again, is to just give you guys like a basic look at the way Gunslinger plays, a basic look at their abilities, and a couple different talent choices you can make to change your playstyle and allow you to have, you know, different strengths or weaknesses in certain matchups, perhaps. Just give you an idea of what is available to you. Get over there. I wanna hook across the way. There we go. Like I said, I need to experiment with this right here. Unleashing the entire aerial barrage is an offensive toolkit that I have not really used before, but I like it. But anyway, like I was saying, I just wanted to show you guys the offensive and defensive capabilities, a couple different talents that you guys can choose between, so you can develop your own play style and see if Gunslinger looks like a fun class for you to play. So if it does look like a fun class for you to play, or if Blade and Soul in general looks like a fun game for you to play, and I assure you it's worth it. It's a lot of fun to play, especially if you like the PvP fighting game style. Arena is mostly based around 1v1, so if you guys like 1v1s, you can pretty much just queue into 1v1s all day long and have a blast. But like I was saying, there's a link in the description for you guys to check the game out. It's a free-to-play game. I've had a lot of fun playing Blade and Soul since it came out, and I'm always grateful for the sponsored opportunities that NCSoft provides, like this one, to give me a chance to check out Blade and Soul, the new stuff, share it with you guys, and it really sort of like sweetens the deal, like I said. So speaking of which, thank you once again to NCSoft and Blade & Soul for sponsoring this video. I'm gonna wrap this up, get my gym stream going, but make sure that you guys keep a lookout for the Blade & Soul Gunslinger Arena sessions that I've got coming here soon for you guys. It's gonna be some 1v1 highlights and some 3v3 highlights. And I did play some Destroyer during like after the sponsored portion of the Blade & Soul streams that I was doing on Twitch. So make sure you guys keep an eye out for the Destroyer stuff as well, because Destroyer is like my class that I started with and the class that I love. But if you guys like Destroyer, I think you guys might like Gunslinger as well. It's a big departure, obviously, because it's a ranged class rather than a you know, melee class. But in terms of the amount of burst damage, if you guys are about burst damage, you guys will love the Gunslinger. But anyway, gotta bring this video to a close. Thank you once again to Blade & Soul and NCSoft sponsoring the video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Peace!